Book of Genesis, chapter 33. This is the story of Jacob meeting with his brother Esau after a long separation. And Jacob lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, Esau was coming, and 400 men with him. So he divided the children among Leah and Rachel and the two maids. And he put the maids with their children in front, then Leah with her children, and Rachel and Joseph last of all. He himself went on before them, bowing himself to the ground 7 times, until he came near to his brother. But Esau ran to meet him, and embraced him, and fell on his neck, and kissed him. And they wept. And when Esau raised his eyes and saw the women and children, he said, "Who are these with you?" Jacob said, "The children whom God has graciously given your servant." Then the maids drew near, they and their children, and bowed down. Leah likewise and her children drew near and bowed down. And last Joseph and Rachel drew near, and they bowed down. Esau said, "What do you mean by all this company which I met?" Jacob answered, "To find favor in the sight of my Lord." But Esau said, "I have enough, my brother. Keep what you have for yourself." Jacob said, "No, I pray you, if I have found favor in your sight, then accept my present from my hand, for truly to see your face is like seeing the face of God. With such favor have you received me. Accept, I pray you, my gift that is brought to you, because God has dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough." Thus he urged him, and he took it. That story of Jacob and Esau has so much content, and I want to draw a parallel between that story of antiquity and our True Father's meeting with Kim Il-sung in 1991. I'm going to now read from True Father's autobiography as a peace-loving global citizen. And this is the chapter entitled "My Meeting with President Kim Il-sung." And this is in Father's own words. "I had not gone to North Korea because I wanted to see my hometown, nor because I wanted to tour Mount Kumgang. I wanted to meet President Kim Il-sung and have a serious discussion on the future of our homeland. Yet 6 days into my visit, there was no word on whether a meeting with President Kim could be arranged. When we arrived back at Pyongyang Sunan Airport by helicopter after visiting my hometown, however, I found that Vice Premier Kim Dal-hyun had unexpectedly come to meet me. "The great leader Kim Il-sung will receive you tomorrow," he told me. "The place will be the Majeon presidential residence in Hungnam. So you will need to board a special flight immediately and go to Hungnam." I thought to myself, they say he has many presidential residences. Why of all places Hungnam? On my way I noticed a large sign for the Hungnam nitrogen fertilizer factory, where I had been forced to labor. It reminded me of my time in prison and gave me an odd feeling. I spent the night in a guest house and went the next day to meet the president. As I approached the official residence, I found President Kim at the entrance, waiting to greet me. The two of us simultaneously embraced each other. I was an anti-communist, and he was the leader of a communist party, but ideology and philosophies were not important in the context of our meeting. We were like brothers who were meeting for the first time after a long separation. This was the power of belonging to the same people and sharing the same blood. Right at the outset, I said to him, "Mr. President, because of your warm consideration, I've been able to meet my family. There are, however, 10 million Koreans who are members of families separated between North and South, and they are unable even to know whether their relatives on the other side are alive or dead. I would like to ask you to grant them the opportunity to meet each other." I spent a little more time telling him about my visit to my hometown and appealed to his love for the Korean people. He and I spoke the same dialect, so we were at ease with one another. President Kim responded, "I feel the same way. From next year, let's begin a movement that allows separated compatriots of North and South to meet one another. His acceptance of my proposal was as natural as the snow melting in spring. After speaking on my visit to Jeonju, I moved on to my views on nuclear weapons. I respectfully proposed that North Korea agree to a declaration on the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula and sign a safeguards agreement with the International Atomic Energy Agency. He responded with candor. Think for a moment. Who am I going to kill by making nuclear weapons? Kill my own people? Do I look like that kind of person? I agree that nuclear energy should be used only for peaceful purposes. I have listened attentively to what you have to say, and I expect it will be all right. At the time, North-South relations were at a difficult point over the issue of nuclear inspections in North Korea, and so I had made my proposal with some reluctance. Everyone present, however, was surprised that President Kim responded in such a pleasant tone. At this point, we adjourned our meeting to a dining room where we took an early lunch. Are you familiar with frozen potato noodles, he asked. It's a dish I ate quite often when I was active as a partisan on Mount Baekdu. Please try some. Well, of course I know it, I said, responding to his words with delight. We used to enjoy this dish in my hometown. Well, I'm sure in your hometown you ate it as a delicacy, he continued, but we ate it to survive. The Japanese police used to search for us all the way to the top of Mount Baekdu. We didn't have a chance to sit down to a decent meal. What else is there to eat at the top of Mount Baekdu other than potatoes? We'd start to boil some potatoes, and if the Japanese police came after us, we'd bury the potatoes in the ground and run away. It'd be so cold that by the time we got back, the potatoes would be frozen solid in the ground. The only thing we could do was dig up the potatoes, thaw them, and then turn them into powder so we could make noodles out of them. Mr. President, I said, you're an expert on frozen potato noodles. That's right. They taste good mixed in bean soup, and they also taste very good if you eat them in sesame soup. It's a dish that is easy on the digestion, and because potatoes have a tendency to stick together, it is very filling. Also, Chairman Moon, he continued, it tastes really good if you do like they do in Hamgyong province and take some mustard leaf kimchi like this and put it over the noodles. You should try it. I did as he suggested and ate my frozen potato noodles with some mustard leaf kimchi over them. The tasty flavor of the noodles matched well the spicy kimchi and left my stomach feeling light. There are many delicacies in the world, President Kim said. I'm not interested in any of those. There's nothing better than the potato cakes, corn, and sweet potatoes that I used to eat in my hometown. You and I even share similar tastes in food, I said. It's good that people who share the same homeland can meet like this. How was it when you visited your hometown, he asked me. I was filled with many emotions, I said. The home where I lived was still there, and I sat in the main room to think about the past. I almost expected to hear the voice of my late mother calling me. It was an emotional feeling. I see, he said. It shows that our country needs to be unified immediately. I hear that when you were young, you were quite mischievous. Did you have a chance to run around when you were there this time? Everyone at the table laughed at the president's comment. I wanted to climb a tree and go fishing, I said, but I heard that you were waiting for me, so I quickly came here. I hope you will invite me to come again sometime. Well, of course I will, Chairman Moon. Do you like to hunt? I like hunting very much. I think if you go bear hunting on Mount Baekdu, you will enjoy it very much. Bears have big bodies and look uncoordinated, but they are actually very nimble. I once came face to face with a bear, he continued. The bear looked at me and didn't move a muscle. If I had started to run, you know what would have happened, don't you? So what was I going to do? I stared right back at him and just stood there. 1 hour passed, then 2 hours, 3 hours. But the bear just kept staring at me. You know how Mount Baekdu is famous for being cold. I was afraid I might freeze to death before the bear ate me. So what happened, I asked. Well, Chairman Moon, do you see the bear sitting here, or do you see me? I laughed out loud, and President Kim immediately followed with a suggestion. Chairman Moon, he said, the next time you come, let's go hunting together on Mount Baekdu. I responded quickly with my own invitation. You like to fish, don't you? On Kodiak Island in Alaska, you can catch halibut that are as big as bears. Let's go fishing for those sometime. Halibut as big as bears. Well, I will definitely have to go. Two of us were able to communicate well about our shared hobbies of hunting and fishing. At one point, we each felt we had so much to say to the other that we just started talking like old friends, meeting after a long separation. Our laughter echoed around the dining room. I also talked about Mount Kumgang. I went to Mount Kumgang, and it really is a beautiful mountain, I said. It needs to be developed as a tourism destination for our people. Mount Kumgang will be an asset to our unified homeland, he said. So I made sure that only certain people could touch it. If it's developed in the wrong way, it could be ruined. You have an international eye, and I could trust someone like you to take it over and develop it for us. President Kim went so far as to ask that we consider developing Mount Kumgang together. Mr. President, I said, you are older than I, so you're like my older brother. He responded, Chairman Moon, from now, let's refer to each other as older brother and younger brother. And he grasped my hand tightly. He and I held each other's hand as we walked down the hallway and took commemorative photographs. Then I left the residence. After I had gone, I was told that President Kim told his son, Kim Jong-il, Chairman Moon is a great man. I've met many people in my life, but none were like him. He has a broad scale of thinking, and he overflows with heart. I felt close to him. It made me feel good to be with him, and I wanted him to stay for a long time. I want to meet him again. After I die, if there are things to discuss pertaining to North-South relations, you must always seek the advice of Chairman Moon. So it seemed that we had communicated very well. Soon after I ended my week-long stay and left Pyongyang, Prime Minister Hyang Myok-yoon led a North Korean delegation to Seoul. Prime Minister Yoon signed an agreement to denuclearize the Korean Peninsula. On January 30th the following year, North Korea signed a nuclear safeguards agreement with the International Atomic Energy Agency, thus fulfilling the commitments that President Kim had made to me. There is more work to do, but these were the results I accomplished by going to Pyongyang at the risk of my life. Aju. That's our father. That's our true father. I can't sit here and do nothing with the rest of my life. I have to respond to this situation. Our Father gave so much to us. We receive blessing and grafted into heaven's blood lineage. Now our movement faces a crisis. And I want to tell you, brothers and sisters, all my beloved brothers and sisters, I've thrown my lot in with Youngjanim and Yonanan, the second king of Chonoguk. I believe in what he's doing. I have observed him and watched him neutrally on YouTube from a distance. I've been suffering in my own personal life. I've been going through my own personal trial. But deep inside of my heart, deep inside, is the lineage of True Father, the heart of True Father. I can't forget True Father. And to see how our movement has been divided is heart-rending. So I have chosen, based on what my heart has convicted me to do, to support the second king of Chonoguk, Youngjin Moon and Yonan Moon, and the sanctuary movement. So I'm asking you, brothers and sisters, to give it a look, give it a think, examine your heart. Have a look at their website. There's a blessing coming up, a rededication blessing on the 13th of February for first and second generation couples to engraft into True Father's authority once again. Consider it. If your heart convicts you, do it. What I love about the movement of Youngjin is based on freedom and responsibility. There's no hierarchical coercion. What I'm doing now is completely of my own volition. It's how God is convicting me to do it. So I'm throwing that out there to you. I'm a sanctuary guy. Ted O Grady is a sanctuary guy. That story we just read of Father risking his life to get that result in Kim Il-sung. Who would do that? Who could do that other than the Lord of the Second Advent? Who could do that other than the Messiah? Only Father with his foundation of blood, sweat, and tears could do that. And anyone who comes after Father's life to take his position, to claim his position, is a thief. That person's a thief, whoever it is. Because true father did that with his blood, sweat, and tears. From the young age, his own bloodshed, his own blood and torture and beating. That is Father who gave us that blessing. That is true Father who opened the gates of hell and the opportunity for restoration. And we created this hell. We created this division. We, fallen people, created what we're facing now. I don't care about my life. I'm going to be 60 years old. How much longer do I have on this earth? I'll throw my life away for my conviction. I'm asking you, brothers and sisters, my beloved brothers and sisters, look within your own heart and follow your conviction. Thank you for your gracious listening. God bless you. I love you all. I love you all. Amen and Aju. Amen and Aju.